Good morning. Hi, I need to clean my room. I've been working nonstop. So, hey, I had a couple deals. The light's glaring. A couple deals recently, closing 3 deals, and that inspired me to make this video. Okay. Um, so, when you're buying property, and this is where I got inspired this week, but this applies to many things. When you're buying property, at the end, when everything's cleared and you're ready to sign your documents, let's say it's the day you sign your documents, most often the lender will send the cash first thing in the morning before anybody signs, okay? And then the wire is there waiting for everybody to sign. So, the funds are there, the documents are there. Let's say the buyer goes in at 10 a.m. and the seller goes in at noon. Once everybody's signed the paperwork, then the title company sends it back to the lender to get funding approval, which means even though they have the money, they don't release it until the bank says, yes, you can release it. Everything's good. So in this case, yesterday I had 2 deals where we all had signed, and in one case the wire hadn't hit the bank. Hit the title company, and the bank had sent it at 2:30, and by 6 o'clock it still wasn't there. So that was a little unnerving. So if the money hasn't hit, even though they say we're going to fund, and even though they say we're good and everybody signed, it's okay, the buyer can go into the home. Unfortunately, it's best not to do anything. Don't let the buyer move into the home that night if you don't have to, or unless you really feel good about it. You have to get a temporary lease, because who knows? I've heard of cases where they had funding approval and everything was good, and then next thing you know, they found something that the buyer had bought something, lost a job or something, and then everything was canceled. Or the buyer moves in and hates the house and doesn't want to sign the next day. Who knows? Like, you don't know. So in this case, the funding hit today, okay, this morning. So we texted the other agent and said that the buyer can now go to the property. Okay, but you don't know if it's over until that money hits the account. Okay, I had another one, a situation where there was a person buying the home and their spouse was on the deed, and they didn't want the spouse on the deed, and they were going through a divorce, and so they had to redo the deed and have that signed before they would fund. Okay, so it's not over until it's over. Okay, you've got to make sure that money is in the title company and released to you as a seller and as a buyer, that it gets through to the seller. Another thing I was thinking about is I had a very close call a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks ago, and we had signed at 10 a.m. The seller signed at 10:30, and everything was fine. The money had been wired from the lender. The money was there from the buyer, brought their money to close, and everything was great. And so at 11, the title company sent the documents back to the bank, and at like 4:30, we're saying, what's going on? And the title company kept saying, well, we haven't gotten authorization to fund yet. And when I finally got a hold of the lender, I was like, what's going on? Long story short, there was an underwriter who wanted to be nitpicky and wanted to take something out of the loan package that didn't even apply to the loan, really. It was about a car that had been sold. And they're doing it like while we're trying to fund, and she was going to not let us fund and close. Fortunately, the lender I was working with went above that underwriter, and we closed. But that was a close call. Like, this underwriter was willing to like stop the purchase of this home, and these people had just driven from California with dogs and kids and furniture, and you never know. So those are examples of closing scenarios where you just got to make sure that money is there. It's funded. Now, if all the cash is there and we know everything's good and we're closing, then we do temporary leases I do them fairly often because it's already done. But when you have little areas of gray where maybe a spouse that's being divorced might come back and we may not be able to close, like you want to make sure that's taken care of before you close. You want to make sure that you know everything's reviewed and good before you close. Okay, and move in and let the buyer move in. There's another thing that I was dealing with recently too. When you're dealing with contingencies on your home, when you're selling your home to buy a home, when you're selling a home to buy a home, um, you want to make sure that the person buying your home has cleared their option period, meaning they've done their inspections, everything's good, they're moving ahead, and they're solidly pre-approved before you run out and start putting offers on other homes. Because I've known of a property where there have been 3 cash buyers and they all backed out. So so the people that own the home that were waiting to sell their home to buy another one, they had to cancel a couple contracts because people backed out on theirs. So don't go look for a home until you are clear in that option period. Okay, that your buyer has cleared the option period, they're solid, they're good, and they're not backing out before you run ahead and start trying to find homes and put offers in on homes, because then you have a big mess on your hands. Okay, so have a great day. I'll see you later.